𝗦𝗡 Spider amps always seem to be divisive among the metal community. Some people swear by them and others have written them off completely as useless garbage. Often the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I found myself curious about the Spider Valve series because these amps were designed in conjunction with Reinhold Bogner, a legendary amp builder in his own right. Surely with him on board, these amps were awesome, right? Right? 𝗦𝗡 teamed up with Bogner and the result was this, the Spider Valve amp. Now you might be asking yourself, why did I buy this amp? It's a question I'm asking myself too. What's up everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Taylor and if you're new here today, I'm plugged into this 𝗦𝗡 Bogner designed Spider amp, and it's a very interesting amplifier. It's an amplifier that is very divisive. A lot of people either love or hate this amplifier, as I've come to find out. I think it's fine, but let me show you. Today I'm using my Jackson Rhodes V. It has Seymour Duncan blackouts and is also tuned to drop C sharp. I'm just changing everything up today. Not for any particular reason, this is just kind of the way things worked out. This is a clean channel. It's very clean. And a lot of people seem to kind of like poo-poo on this amplifier quite a bit. And I remember being one of those people, seeing a 𝗦𝗡 Spider amp with tubes. It's just kind of like, stay in your lane, 𝗦𝗡. But you know, I think what happened here is they actually made a really cool amplifier. I mean, they did team up with Reinhold Bogner to design it. And you know, if anyone knows tube amps, it's definitely Bogner. So now I do have a master volume and presence over there. This amp is really dusty despite having like the original sticker on top of it. It's in pretty good shape, but it is very, very dusty and those controls are very spontaneous. Now you can program preset channels on this amplifier and you have quick switches up here, A, B, C, and D. I don't really want to demonstrate these controls because all of these knobs are momentary, meaning if I switch channels, I could get a dramatic jump in volume, and that's not pleasant for anybody here. We do have built-in effects as well. We have a coarse flanger. If you like that, if that's your thing, cool. Phaser. One thing you gotta hand to 𝗦𝗡 is their effects always sound very, very good. Tremolo. There's all the modulation effects. Let's turn those off. Let's go over here into the delay. We're just gonna go jump into the tape echo. Very nice. We do have a tap there also if we wanted to tap. The tempo. Let's add some reverb in here. We don't have different reverb types, just the one reverb. The effects sound really good. I mean, especially for built-in effects, they sound great. So by switching the channels here, we actually do have 2 channels per channel. That sounds weird to say. 2 modes per channel. So we have a orange mode and a blue mode. Holy shit, and you can just see, like, just by switching it, these knobs go into momentary mode, which means they're just kind of like set to whatever the preset setting is. I'm having a hard time talking today. So we're gonna get these dramatic jumps in volume. We have an orange mode, blue mode. This is just like a little bit pushed, it sounds like. Oh, I didn't even mention, this is running through my 𝗦𝗣 oversized 4x12 cabinet being mic'd up with an 𝗦𝗦C Electronics X1A microphone. Pretty typical how I do things here on my channel. Let's turn the gain all the way up. It sounds very good, man. I'm not gonna lie. I think that this actually sounds pretty great. This actually does edge of breakup very well. Like better than most modelers or other amp emulation that I've tried. If that's your thing, if you're looking for that, this might be a score for you because you can usually pick these things up for like a few $100. I think I got this one for 300. I don't remember, it was a while ago. Apologies, but let's keep moving along here. This video is gonna be forever. Okay, Tweed. Kind of like more mid-focus. Let's boost this. You can see how I have my boost set here. Pretty typical boost mode. We're still on twang. Let's go twang blue. It's a lot of range there, like cleans and distortion tones, whatever. Blues, it sounds like it's gonna be loud. Bluesy, it's nice. This sounds like the orange channel, just like with a bright switch or something. Oh, it's because the knobs, the momentary thing. I always forget about that. Yeah, it's cool, it's a little bit crunchy. Let's move on to the crunch channel. This one sounds a little bit like tubby. Let's add a boost to it and see if that helps it out at all. So far, out of all of these channels, this is probably my least favorite. It just sounds like really wompy. I don't know how else to describe that. This almost reminds me of when you plug in and you're like, what's wrong with my tone? And then you realize like the tone knob is rolled all the way back, which is why I normally don't have tone knobs on my guitars. But tone knob is up all the way. This just sounds like very... As you may be able to tell by my clothes and the general aesthetic of the room, I decided to come back and revisit the high gain channels on this amplifier because the first time I went through them, I was kind of unimpressed by them. I thought they sounded like really digital and processed, I guess, for lack of a better word. I would say that this amp is neither good or bad. It's just weird. And let me qualify that statement for you. It's weird in the same way like deep fakes are weird, if you know what I mean. Like, you know that you're not watching the person who's act that part. Like if you guys have ever seen The Shining with Jim Carrey's face over it.
You think maybe he should be taken to a doctor.
As soon as possible. As soon as possible.
Like if we think about the technology of the time, the Spider amplifiers, like the old Line 6 pod bean, whatever, hooking a pod bean into like a solid state power amp or something like that and into a cabinet, this sounds better than that, but not by much. You know what I mean? It's a pretty slim margin. Does any of that matter now with like the technology we have? No, it doesn't. But you guys actually educated me in the comments when I posted a picture of this amp. A lot of you had, you know, some tips and stuff, so I took some time and read the manual, go figure. Which in this case, I think is super important for this amplifier because not only are there a lot of hidden features in this amplifier, it dials in a way that might not be super obvious if you are just going off the front panel. You know, like the tone stack isn't always just bass, mid, and treble. Sometimes the mid control changes the gain character. You know, we're gonna go back here to the crunch channel. We'll go to the crunch channel on amber, make sure I'm not blowing my ears out. Very much a crunch style amplifier. So we do have a built-in noise gate here, and the way that you access this might not be super obvious at first. You hold down the tap button and you rotate the reverb knob. And if you see the D button turn off, our noise gate is off. If you see it turn on, our noise gate is on. And depending on how far you turn it, that will adjust the sensitivity. I just have it all the way up right now. We also have a built-in boost you access in the same way here. Hold down the tap, and then we're gonna do the same thing with the drive. And you can see if the A light is on, the boost is on. So our boost was on. It turns on about noon there, and then you can adjust how much from noon to max. So this is the crunch channel with the boost off. Let's use our own boost and see how it takes that now. When I did this the first time, it actually didn't do that great of a job. So let's try it now. It sounds really great. You know, I'm really surprised because like I said, the first time I went through this, it was sounding like meh to me. Like I wasn't really stoked on it. And now this amp sounds kick-ass, dude. I don't know what changed, but just navigating some controls a little bit differently really made a huge difference with this amplifier. Let's go to the blue mode here on the crunch channel. Like you can see turning the mid knob up actually scoops the mids on this channel. A little counterintuitive. Like the treble doesn't really control the treble. So this is the crunch channel with the boost off. Boost on. Let's actually turn the drive up on this quite a bit. Again, sounds pretty kick-ass, dude, if you ask me. You know, this is a crunch style amplifier. Let's look at the, actually I should have the user manual. So the amber LED is a 68 Marshall Plexi. The blue is a Plexi on fire. It's based off a 68 Plexi 100 watt with a few added extras. So every model here, if you look in the user manual, has unique characteristics about it that you might want to know about before you just start turning knobs and dialing in, because those knobs might not do exactly what you expect them to do. So let's go to the metal amber model here, and it says this is based off a 𝗦𝗣𝗘𝗫𝗍 dual rectifier. They made careful enhancements to this classic tone, powerful, tight, fast. Okay, so it doesn't say anything special about the controls on this one, so I'm left to assume they're just normal bass, mid, treble. Pretty kick-ass metal tone, dude. Let's see if our boost is on. It is. Let's take that boost off. Noise gate is on. That's good. That sounds more like a 𝗦𝗣𝗫𝗍 to me. Adding the boost on this channel, I think, is originally kind of the problem that I had with it. It had the boost on by default. I don't know, the internal boost just wasn't really doing this model much justice, in my opinion. It does have a little bit of like that emulated thing going on, especially in the low end. And I know that they said, you know, it's like a sort of revised version of a 𝗦𝗣𝗫𝗍 dual rectifier. The low end is definitely nowhere near a dual rectifier in my experience. This is kind of like an idealized dual rectifier to me. Let's see if we can boost it though externally and see how that sounds. It sounds pretty kick-ass, dude. Again, like, I'm pretty impressed with this thing, if I'm being honest. Does it sound like a tube amp? Sort of. I don't know, in some ways, but it doesn't exactly sound like a solid-state Spider amp either. It's definitely somewhere in the middle, leaning more towards a tube amp than like a solid-state Spider amplifier. And we are very, very loud. Unfortunately, my dB meter broke, so I don't have that to reaffirm that, but it's very loud. Shit, let's go to the metal blue channel. Okay, so it says here, it's aggressive high gain amp model with unique mid control that will sweep through the entire spectrum of tone in one knob. That's a statement. The mid knob for this amp model changes the character of the distortion. When set to minimum, the distortion exhibits fuzz characteristics. When the mid is set to noon, it mimics the creamy modern high gain amp tones. And when the mid knob is max, it's very much reminiscent of that Class A sound. It's weird to me because it says when it's at minimum, this is supposed to be like the fuzz setting. That sounds more like a Class A thing to me. And this sounds more like the fuzz setting. And in the middle would be like creamy, I guess. Let's boost that. There's definitely a time and place for that, I guess. We have the reverb knob all the way up, but the reverb's not actually on. Same thing going on with the other high gain tones. Like this sounds kind of polished and idealized to me, which is not a bad thing, but yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's kind of a cool thing. It's pretty unique, if I'm being honest, and there's so many tone variations inside this amplifier. You know, if you're gonna scoop a used one up for a few $100s, you can probably cover a lot of ground with it. Let's see what the internal boost sounds like on this model here. Pretty kick-ass. Okay, insane mode, right? This is gonna be terrible, right? That's what everyone says. Make sure the internal boost is off. Okay, let's read this. Amber channel. This model is our dialed in for shredding version of the Mesa Boogie Dual Rectifier Red channel. It combines the intensity and impact of metal red, but delivers more mid-range and teeth for that bone-crushing, brain-piercing, insane grind. I mean, it does sound like a highly sculpted Mesa Boogie tone, but it's not bad. It already has like a lot of that going on, if you know what I mean. I don't think it needs a boost, but let's try it. Like boosting it almost adds a HM2-esque quality to it in the top end. Not quite, but you know, it's getting there. Okay. Insane Blue. Our goal with the Insane was to provide as much input gain distortion as possible short of a complete meltdown. You get an obscene helping of distortion while still retaining tonal definition and character. As a result, you get way more bottom end and cabinet character than other small amps. Crank up the drive control and prepare to dominate. First time playing through this, I actually liked the Insane channel the most. And now, out of all the high gain stuff, I'm liking it the least, I think. Okay, so revisiting my final thoughts on this amplifier, I think it's actually pretty badass, especially considering these float around on the used market for not that much money. They're very loud. They have a lot of stuff built into them, a lot of hidden effects. I highly suggest, because you're buying this used, because I don't think they make them new anymore, but you're probably buying this amp without a manual, take the time to look over the manual and learn how to use the hidden features, because it is definitely worth taking the time to do that. I think my first playthrough with all the high gain stuff on this amplifier, I had the built-in boost on, so I didn't realize that there was a hidden built-in boost, and it was really like clouding my judgment on how this amp sounded on its own, because a lot of these models sound better with an external boost than with the built-in boost, in my opinion. So, take that for what it's worth. And maybe if you have one of these amplifiers and you're like, hey, why can't I get the low end out of it that I sort of expect from a tube amplifier? Check your hidden settings. Maybe you have your boost on and you didn't know it this whole time. All right, if you guys have made it this far, thank you so much. If you like what I do here on my channel, make sure to hit the like button, consider subscribing. If you really like what I do, consider joining my Patreon or my members. There's more information on that down in the description below. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.